Hello, everyone. So last time I talked about different tips for fostering a pregnant mother, cat, and their kittens. And in that video, I talked about how I just started fostering, and I am currently fostering my second cat. And my first cat was quite an adventure. Like he actually got adopted very quickly within a week, not even a week after I welcomed him into this home. He got adopted into his forever home, so that's great. But the actual experience fostering him was a bit traumatic, and it's not about like normal anything you would think of as like a normal, oh, you didn't know like cats needed litter or something like that. No, like it was kind of wild from the start, because what happened was the company that I was fostering with, I'm still fostering with them. They're a good company. It's just that, well, I say company, it's a shelter. Basically, what happened was I get told last minute that the cat was flying in from Thailand, and he's also blind. He's a 6-year-old blind cat named Burgess. And basically, he arrives, and I luckily had a friend, who I was able to kind of text, like, oh my gosh, I'm panicking. I texted this to multiple friends, like, oh my gosh, I got this cat, to foster, but he's this blind cat. They didn't tell me until like 20 minutes before the cat arrived. And like, so the cat arrives. They were nice. They were very nice about driving the cat to the foster home, and providing food and litter if needed. She gave me food that he was eating while he was in Thailand. So that was really nice. I want to give like a balanced story here. I don't want to make the shelter look bad. You know, so basically, I carry the cat here in his carrier, and I set the carrier down. I open it. I sit with him for a bit. He just kind of stayed in his carrier, kind of, uh, curled up, and it's not. I wasn't surprised. Like I knew cats are, you know, they can be shy creatures. Every cat has their own personality. So I just kind of sit with him, just so he knows he's not in some like random abandoned dark place. I mean, he's blind, so you know doesn't know about the dark part. But like, basically, I'm sitting with him for a bit. He's not really moving, so he's breathing. He's not dead. He's just not moving. He's just kind of like sitting there. So I'm just, I give him some pets. If it as long as he seemed like comfortable, then I just kind of get up, and I, kind of walk off. Give him space, because I figured that's what he needed, and you know that basically, don't worry. Like, I know I'm spending a lot of time on this first part, but like the rest will be mostly summary. But basically, yeah. After that, he eventually does get out of his carrier, and I had set up his home base. And there's food, there's water, there's his litter box, and I think I asked them, and they said that he doesn't have trouble using the litter box, but you should probably like sit him in the litter box like the first time. I like didn't do that. I found that he was able to just use the litter on his own. Um, so that was great. He ate, and he drank on his own. Um, so, the first night goes pretty good. Um, and then the next couple of days, at one point, he finds, he discovers my bed, so to speak. Because where I had his food and water, it was the walk-in closet next to my room. So he basically climbs up the bed. So I'm like, okay, you can chill there as long as you want, and you'll just get down when you want to, because like, he's a 6-year-old cat, and he, whatever caused his blindness or whatnot, he'd been blind most of his life supposedly. So like, I figured like he had enough, experience with like spatial recognition skills that, if he could figure out how to get up the bed, and it's just a basic bed on a basic, like a basic shelf, not shelf, but like it's very basic. It's pretty close to the ground, and for a cat, so he gets up easily, and he's chilling there. And I work from home, so I'm working all day, and he's chilling there anytime I walk by, and I think, he probably just, quickly gets up to eat or use the litter when he needs to. So I wasn't worried that I was just seeing him on a bed. But then I saw him, he didn't seem to, like, he didn't seem to be able to get down. Like, he seemed to be scared to get down. At least the one time I saw him try to get down, and I thought, like, maybe he'll figure it out. But if he starts like meowing, I'll know like he's trying to get down, and that didn't happen. So I just, go to bed that night, with him just kind of like still sitting around, and he wakes me up later on that night. He's like, headbutting me, and I thought, oh, he's trying to cuddle or something. I don't know, just like telling this now, I feel very naive and whatnot, but basically he basically keeps doing that, and then eventually he actually bites me, and I'm kind of quickly sit up like, hey buddy, what's going on, like, he had bitten me already, I think, before that, and that was his way. I figured that was his way of telling me, hey, like, I have been pet enough, I want my time alone, so I gave him his time alone. So I'm like, okay, you're the one on this bed, you're the one, sticking around me. And then the next thing I know, he's biting on like my bed sheet and like my mattress cover, and I'm like, wait, you're super hungry, obviously. Have you not been eating? Did you never get off this bed? And I felt like really bad. So I, get his food, I put it on the bed, I, turn the light on, doesn't really do anything for him, but, like, wakes me up. I let him eat, I'm like sitting there and, like apologizing and, petting him, and, so he's eaten, and, then I just kind of carry him off the bed. Like, I just kind of gently, like lift him up, put him down on the floor, so he can go to the litter box and go drink water. And that is when I got confirmed, like, yeah, he doesn't exactly know how to get off the bed, even though he loves being on the bed. So that was a big lesson learned. Not to, uh, to actually check in. Even if he knows how to get on a bed, he might not know how to get off a bed if he's a blind cat. That was embarrassing. But as embarrassing as it is, like, telling this story, I hope, like, helps other people, in similar situations who, who are fostering a blind cat, especially, or a cat with, similar disabilities. Um, you know, um, this was, like I said, my first foster, and I was, frustrated, like, from the beginning, because it was like, they told me this last minute. And even though they said he was a good cat, and he was a good cat, he would, like, get overwhelmed easily, and he would, like, bite. And, those bites, I still, you won't be able to see it, but, like, I still have, remnants, like, I don't think they're, like, scars per se. I guess they are, but, it's just, like, marks I still have from, where he bit me. Like, I wasn't bleeding, but, like, they were scrapes that he'd leave because, he'd get overwhelmed. And, that gave me a lot of anxiety, and, like I said, the bites were him being overwhelmed if I, like, pet him too much, or, like, he, while exploring my apartment, like, he was walking underneath my desk, and, there are cords there, and he got overwhelmed because he had poked his head between two of the cords, like, they weren't, like, moving or anything. Like, they didn't get unplugged or anything. He just, got overwhelmed and bit me. And, like, so, yeah, that isn't something that, comes obviously, as far as, like, oh yeah, of course the cat's gonna get, overwhelmed and bite, if they're coming in with a disability. And, like, it really was a situation where I truly wished I did better for the cat, but it was also like, that definitely should not have been my first foster. So, like with all these videos, I talked about it on Reddit, and, here's what, I kind of got from that. Like, the first person asked me, like, how hard he bit, because, he was an anxious cat, most likely. And apparently, might depend on, like, the state or the country, but if they bite, like, too much or too hard, they could get euthanized just because they have, like, a biting problem, which I didn't know that either. But, honestly, he never bit, he never caused bleeding. And he got, like I said, he got adopted, within the week. And I did tell the new people when they first visited, and were deciding if they wanted to adopt him, I was up front. I was like, hey, this cat bites, and this man, he worked in a shelter, like, worked with a shelter, and like an animal shelter, and he understood, like, it was probably a warning bite, probably because he was overwhelmed, like, so, he knew that was, like, relevant possibilities. So I didn't just kind of, like, give the cat away without saying, hey, this happened, that wouldn't be fair to anybody, including Burgess the cat. So yeah, anxious cat, not great for a first-time foster to have a cat in that kind of unique situation, so that's definitely something to keep in mind, like, because it was a tough situation, because, like, I only learned that this cat was blind when they were already on their way to my house. And my gut was like, we should probably politely say no, but like, I just felt too bad for the cat at that point because he flew in and, he's already gone through so much in one day or 48 hours. So I was like, I'll do it. He's supposed to be an easy cat. And for the most part, he was. It's just he got overwhelmed. And I mean, who wouldn't if you're a cat who's blind? Like, so the other thing is, and this goes for any cat, if the cat is like doing something that causes you anxiety or you just happen to have a lot of anxiety, the cat's gonna like sense that out. Even a blind cat will sense that you're fucking anxious. So, like that is definitely something. If you're finding in any situation that like you're getting anxiety, while taking care of a cat, like, or any animal really, like they could sense that shit. Unironically, it's not just in animes or whatever. They could sense that shit. So, you gotta be prepared for that, and yeah, so something that they said that really stuck with me, just the way they said it, is special cats require special fosters. So, cats with, certain conditions or, cats with, like things going on like that, they require people with the experience to be able to actually work with, them behaviorally. Kind of like, cat therapists experience, like people who are able to, confidently sit with the cat, calm their nerves, because they're not getting anxious, the human's not getting anxious, so the cat gets the chance it deserves to calm down, be calm, like calm out over time, so to speak. So yeah, the cat deserved that. Burgess deserved that. And if you're just starting in fostering, you should definitely advocate for yourself to get a cat that's not, too much, and if anything, you could slowly build up, like cats with, more and more going on if you wanted to, take care of cats with medical needs, or if you just want to take care of like chill cats, you could do that too. But like, don't, for shelters and fosters alike, don't start off with a cat with medical needs if you're not used to like sussing out, when a cat needs help, for example, like what happened with me. He did, like I didn't say before. After that night when he bit me because he was super hungry, I made it a thing that every few hours I would, because Burgess kept hanging on the bed, so I would lift him off the bed, put him on the floor, kind of facing, his face with his food and his litter and stuff. So, I essentially had to remind him, you need to eat, go to the bathroom, like he was treating the bed like someone like me with ADHD treats a computer, like forgetting to go to the bathroom or eat or anything like that. And it's like, you gotta do other things other than lay on the bed. I'm glad you like it, but I like that bed too, but you gotta take care of yourself, buddy. But anyway, yeah, like, yeah, like cats, any cat you're fostering is going to be in a new place, and it's going to be super overwhelming already. Like Benjamin, the cat I have now, he had stomach problems and had an episode, when when he first got here. And luckily, that was something that went away with the medical treatment, like with medication I just put in his food, so it was really easy. But it was like, cats are gonna be hella nervous, and they're gonna show that, however they happen to show that when they first arrive at your house. Um, so you have to be ready for that. Um, and like, if he was like, if you are fostering a cat who actually became blind recently, that phenomena, that, getting used to being blind is also something that, the cat could be dealing with. That could be adding to their anxiety on top of the new place, and in Burgess's case, like traveling internationally, intercontinentally. Um, all right, so apparently, too, there is such a thing as kitty Prozac, or I can't read this. Gallopintin. So there's cat anxiety medication, which is great, because as I've learned more and more about cats, they really, just like dogs, there are a lot of similarities to human brains, and how they go through giving birth, and so many different things that are, you know parallel to how humans, function and live their lives, as far as biology goes. So random. But yeah, give the cat time. Any cat, give them time. To show. Give them time to warm up to a new place. Give them time. Figure out what they're comfortable with as far as like you showing affection or them giving you affection, which might not happen the first week. Like they may walk away or whatnot. So it will definitely take time. Um, do, do, do. Some cats do bite to show affection, and usually those are like smaller bites, and some cats will bite to like get your attention for like food, or Benjamin did that at first, until I got into a routine of feeding him right after I woke up. Um, and so some cats will do that. Some cats will, bite just to like play. And if they're biting too hard, apparently you'll probably want to look this up if interested, but like if they're biting too hard, or don't like that they're biting you, you can like give out like a high pitched, tone in return, because that reminds the cat of like the siblings that they, were, being raised by their mother with. So that that puts in the cat's head that, oh, I need to knock it down a notch. I am actually hurting this creature because that sound, my sibling made that sound when I played too rough with them. I haven't tried it, but it's a thing. Like, my friend has a cat, and she would give off these high pitched sounds to the cat. Apparently, that made him feel actually comfortable. Like that was to get him to, like not be so scared around people. He wasn't blind or anything, but yeah, like just another application of high pitched, giving off high pitched sounds, because that cat was very scared of people for whatever reason, and so so that might have helped him. I don't know. Okay, sorry, I don't like get. Sorry. Okay. So if they bite, one of the reasons cats will bite, obviously, is to tell you like to stop doing something you're doing. Like in my case, Burgess was telling me to stop petting him, or that he was overwhelmed by something. And in that case, you just have to stop. Like, you just have to stop doing whatever you're doing, or, like, just kind of back away from the cat, so to speak. Give them space, and they'll be good. Like, that's what they need, is just decompression time. So, what you don't want to do, though, which I was bad at this, and I'm still bad at this, you don't want to react when they bite you because of that, because the more you react, the more they know that actually worked to get your attention. They don't necessarily have to bite you to get attention, but if you react to that, then they know it works, and they don't have to think about anything else, as far as getting your attention. All right. They'll come out when they're ready. As far as like warming up to a new house. So like I said, different cats can take different amounts of time to warm up to a person, like blind or not. Some cats will warm up to you in seconds, some cats will take months. They're still like hiding, after a month. They're still afraid of the new environment. So it can take who knows how long, It just takes time. As cheesy as it sounds, it just takes time. So that's what I learned. Like, take hints seriously that cats are giving you. Always respond to new like things the cat's doing. At least try to figure out why they're doing whatever silly little thing, because sometimes it could just be silly cat being silly cat. And address it. I mean, like, what do you need to adjust something about your house, or just adjust how you're interacting with a cat. Like, a cat's just like a roommate. You just have to figure out how that specific cat communicates and what their specific needs are. So that's me sharing my experiences, potentially getting canceled on the internet, so you don't make the mistakes I made. I believe in you. Also, hi. Like and subscribe if you watched it, and you liked it, and comment whatever is on your mind. We're all here for it. It helps the algorithm anyway. Thank you for watching.